Hi, I'm going to be presenting the social media campaign I've been working on over the past 2 weeks for the amputee community, focusing on prosthetics. A little bit about the community. Amputees of all shapes and sizes, meaning veterans, congenital amputees, people that were hurt in accidents or lost limbs as a result of disease, plus the public, trying to do some public education. The amputee community is very active online, mostly on Twitter, but also on Facebook. Some have their own blogs. There are a lot of Pinterest boards. Leaders in the field, Amputee Coalition is a nonprofit that's very active online. Dan Horkey is an amputee who airbrushes prosthetics. Katie Metner is an author and amputee with a large Twitter following. One thing I've learned about the amputee community is that physical activity is really a top priority for them, even beyond, just getting their function back. They want to be physically active. So on top of that, overcoming disability, feeling pride in who they are, rather than being ashamed of their disability, and financing for their needs are all top subjects with this community. Hashtags of prosthetics, amputees, and amputee, while basic will pull up plenty of discussion. Over the past 2 weeks, I've learned and was surprised that the community was more responsive to posts about aesthetics involving prosthetics and also attitudes about displaying their limbs, even more than topics about the advancing technology of prosthetics. So the goals with the campaign were to provide information, resources, and inspiration, engage the community on these topics of prosthetic technology, and public education as well. And ultimately, the larger goal is to attract followers, increase engagement with the community, and to grow Amputee Connect's reputation as a trusted source of information for the community. So the strategy was to use a few different social media platforms to explore these topics, and the topics, to be more specific, were open source prosthetics, which is getting to be a really big thing, 3D printing, which really ties in with the open source prosthetic projects, new technologies for prosthetics, including ones that may be able to feel touch, beautified prosthetics and the people who make them, and just the changing attitudes to displaying amputations. The strategy also is to engage directly with amputees and others in the community through the social media platforms. So to be more specific about the tactics, on Facebook, there are a lot of Facebook followers that are non-amputees on the Amputee Connection page, so it's good to use for public education and engagement, but also for community engagement by going on the Amputee Coalition page, where there are many amputees posting questions and talking back and forth. I can comment there and get some engagement, and also just to post videos, articles, and photos that are relevant to the campaign. The blog is useful for informing. I plan to write posts on specific topics and then amplify them on Twitter and Facebook. On Twitter, it's mainly the amputee community itself rather than the public, and one tactic is to retweet community leaders with relevant posts to this campaign, like prosthetic artists, and to continue to use it for inspirational and informational posts. On Pinterest, it's a great platform to use for inspiring because of the great visuals. So it's good to use for inspiring posts and also to engage with community members that are also active on the platform by repinning and following. So to look at some examples of posts that I did, this is the Amputee Connection Facebook page. Here we can see a couple of posts about open source projects here and here. A share I did from an Amputee Coalition photo. An article about prosthetics that are imbued with touch with a really great photo. And then some more posts that focused more on the beautified prosthetics, some attention-grabbing images, and as well as videos about models that are amputees. On Twitter, here's some example of some tweets that I was doing. I kept up my amputee inspiration posts, which continue to be popular, retweeted some leaders like Katie Mettner and Touch Bionics. Also some tweets with links back to the blog. Want something done right? Gotta do it yourself. This is based on the open source projects. I engaged with someone who followed me of their own accord, who is an amputee guitarist, and I thanked him for the follow. And I retweeted this amputee artist. For blogs, I did 3 blog posts. This one is on open source prosthetics with a video, someone who's doing a project, and then this is the post I did on prosthetics as art, and I did it as a top 3 list. Here's my Pinterest page. I made a visual inspiration board, which has both technologies, interesting prosthetics, and some pins from groups like Next Step Bionics and Prosthetics, stories. And to start looking at some of the results in analytics, we can see that by engaging with Next Step Bionics and Prosthetics, which I repinned, they started following my board. And this story that I pinned got a lot of interest, repinned twice, liked, and there was also a comment. And that just tells the story of a soldier who became quadruple amputee and his girlfriend. So on Facebook, over the 2 weeks, we can see I got an average of 1 new like per day, which is pretty good for a new page like this. When we look here, we can see likes over time, which are the strongest. Also some comments and maybe 1 or 2 shares here. When we look at the likes, we can see that the large majority of the people that liked the page are women and are between the ages of 25 and 34. We have some likes from a few different countries. The US is the largest, Israel, Egypt, and Australia. If we're looking at reach, we can see that the reach on just the past week has gone up. And when we're seeing who it reaches, it changes a little. It's still more women than men, but it's only 58% instead of more like 73%. And also, when we're talking about reach, it does get broader. It's still, of course, mostly in the US, Israel, but then we get down to Italy, Australia, Egypt, the UK, New Zealand, Spain, Germany, and Canada. And, different languages that people are using. But they've all seen the page, and this has primarily been through shares and likes. So in looking at Facebook engagement for the first week, when I was mainly talking about technologies, the things that got the most interest were links to videos or articles with great images here. And looking at the second week, which was more about aesthetics, we can see that, again, this video got the most clicks. This video got 4. This great picture got 7 clicks. And this little Vine video that I posted was by far the most popular. And this was about technology. But we can see this was by far the most popular thing. It was a link to a video. It was clicked on, it was shared, and the reach was very broad. So to look at some Twitter analytics, 21 followers on Twitter. Over the past 2 weeks, I only got 1 new like, and the keyword I tracked is prosthetics, of course, and this is, as you can see, a pretty popular topic. So on Twitter, I did get some mentions and retweets. My amputee inspiration was retweeted one time, and a link back to the blog about prosthetics that can feel. And these were both from Katie Mettner, who is a definite leader on Twitter. This amputee mentioned me. Thank you for your support. If I look at the Owly clicks, I only use the Owly shortener for my Twitter links that I post on Twitter, And we can see that the most popular one was this link back to my blog where I asked, hiding your prosthetic, these designers say, if you got it, flaunt it. And that got 2 clicks. There are 3 amputee inspiration clicks here as well. So overall views for the 2 weeks were really about the same. 21 views per day, visitors 11 on the first week, 12 on the second week. If we look at views per day, we can see when I posted the prosthetics as art that was getting the most views. The top posts and pages, when we look at the last 30 days, I yellow checked the blog posts that I posted in the last 2 weeks. Prosthetics as art was by far the most popular one with 11 views, whereas Prosthetics That Can Feel and open source prosthetics blogs only got clicked once. When I'm seeing where the traffic is coming from, over the past 30 days we can see 23 referrals from Facebook and 9 from Twitter, and then a couple search engines. And if we look at the past 7 days, we've got 5 from Twitter and 5 from Facebook, which tells, and these were all, I know that the 5 Twitter views were the prosthetics as art from the amputee community. So if we're thinking about what worked and what didn't, definitely what worked is engaging directly with leaders and active people in the community that are active on social media. That resulted in follows, the follow back I got on Pinterest, the mentions and retweets on Twitter. I know that sometimes when I commented on an amputee coalition post, that might drive some interest back to my Facebook page and to the blog. Visuals, images, and video got the most clicks overall and increased the Facebook reach, definitely through that video I posted of the robotic arm. Inspirational posts also caused the most retweets and were the top hourly clicks. So inspiration is important. Formats, I think asking questions and using lists for chunking information. When I asked the question on Twitter, are you hiding your prosthetic? That got the most clicks. And then I think chunking the top 3 prosthetic artists made it a really attractive post for people to click on. Now the blogs on the open source and advanced prosthetics were not attracting interest, and this may be from the way that it was formatted. It wasn't as enticing as like the top 3. People like those list formats, and the topic as well. I don't think that it's not of interest, but I think from the listening that I did over the week, there may be other topics that are of more pressing interest right now to the community. So moving forward, I think that this is a good campaign to continue. Followers and interest did grow throughout the time, albeit slowly, but now we can see what worked and what didn't, and we can work with that to do even better next week. And we saw that inspirational posts work the best, great visuals work the best, so we'll look for more of that we can use. Continue to engage directly, both on Twitter and Facebook. That works well. Consider formatting and advertising the blogs differently, more questions, more interesting formats so that people want to read it, and exploring more immediate topics for the amputee community, such as phantom pain, attainability and affordability of prosthetics, and coping with the traumatic results and the depression that comes from having an amputation. People ask about these things all the time, and I think that we need to look for ways to address that in a way that's going to be engaging with the community. Thank you so much.